going to talk with Katherine, and if you have not been aware of this, she not only is a representative for the Salida Mac, which she's been on the Monday show, she also does DNA research. And in that research, it takes her around the world. So as this show is called Homegrown Highways, we're going to talk to her a little bit about some of her travel. Recently, she went to London. So let's find out what London was like. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to being the co-host. Okay, so I'm done here, so you go ahead and take the con. How was London?
It was great. Very cold, but great. So I go once a year for an annual conference. It's called Who Do You Think You Are? It's just like the TV show that they used to have on NBC, which actually started in England, but Lisa Kudrow bought the rights for the show and brought it to America, and unfortunately NBC canceled it after, I think it was 3 seasons. But we're hoping that the U.S. version gets picked up for a cable show. And so anyways, in London, the show is big over there. It's been on for, I think, at least 9 years on BBC. And so they started a conference around it, and the conference is the biggest family history and genealogy conference in the world. It averages between 11 to 14,000 people go to this 3-day conference. And in the United States, the closest thing we have to that is Roots Tech, and Roots Tech is at its highest attendance ever that I've heard of this year. It's going on right now in Salt Lake City, and that one is at 6,000. So you can really see how London it's almost double. Well, it is double what it was this year for the conference. So anyways, when we go to London for this conference, and I work at the conference, I give speeches on DNA. I teach people how to use DNA to trace their ancestry. So I teach them about that they have different kinds of DNA in their body, what the different kinds of tests are, and how they can use those tests to work for them to learn about their ancestry or their genealogy. And so, the conference itself is on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So on the days surrounding that, we fly in and we tour around London. So that's a lot of fun. So this year, we got to go to Kensington Palace, and this was our first time there because we had wanted to go in the past, but it keeps either having construction, it has construction right now because Will and Kate are moving in, or yeah. But the construction that they're doing right now didn't prevent the public from going in. The previous years that we've gone there, when it was under construction, it was for the royal wedding was one of the things that they had it closed because of that. So Kensington was a primary residence of Queen Victoria and her consort Albert. And so a large part, when you walk into Kensington, it has different areas that you can go and tour, and one whole large section is all on Queen Victoria and Albert, and then another part is on Queen Charlotte, and then I am blanking on the name of her king because it was a while back, but so we just toured the other sections. And then when you leave, they have on their grounds where you can go and have high tea, so we did that. That was our first high tea in London.
Tell us a little bit about high tea, because that's very different than what we may think here in the States.
It is. It's actually, it's more of a meal to them, but maybe a light meal. Mm-hmm. And so they do drink tea. And then, I know, but some people think they only drink tea. But the high tea usually has sandwiches or other kinds of edible things, scones, and this thick kind of cream called clotted cream. Mm-hmm. And so we went to high tea at this place, and high tea is at 3 o'clock. You might think that it's at noon because it's high. No, mm-hmm. It's 3 o'clock. So we went to high tea there, and we really enjoyed ourselves, as that was our first. Because when we go, we like to experience, the very British things. We don't want to eat American or drink American beers or anything like that when we go there. We want to experience their food and everything. And I really like their food. I think their food gets a bad rap.
My grandfather was very English. His ancestors came from Wales, and he would have high tea at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he would have his tea and he would have a biscuit or something like that. How does the European culture influence us even today, even more so than just food. How do you think that our DNA from Europe play into what we do now?
Well, that's a complex question because
oh, look, we're out of time.
Yeah, I know, fill that up, right? So we brought a lot of that with us, but then at the same time, because of the American Revolutionary War, a lot of that got changed, just like with the tea. You know, we started out as a nation of tea drinkers, and then when they started taxing us on it, we switched over to coffee. That's how America became a coffee drinking country. But in Europe, they also drink a lot of coffee. Really? Yeah, it is. It's quite common. It's everywhere. And in spite of what Americans or people think, they do serve their drinks cold. I mean, the tea is warm, but they don't usually ice their drinks. If they know you're an American and they come in, a lot of places now automatically offer if you want ice, but they don't normally ice their sodas and their other drinks, beer. It's all cold. It's fine. And then there's a couple other differences too. Like, for instance, they don't have root beer there very much. In fact, when my cousins came from Scotland, they thought root beer was pretty gross. And then they don't have lemonade like we know lemonade to be. They call Sprite lemonade. So that's,
like the soda Sprite?
Mm-hmm, the soda, that to them is lemonade. So you might get kind of different things and whatever the cross of the words. But going back to the part about the revolution is, a lot of our words are spelled differently than theirs. And for instance, like we don't have the U in color. And
we don't? I always write the U in color.
Do you?
Because of watercolor. Yeah, because in the art world, watercolor is all one word with the U.
So I picked a bad example. Okay, favor.
How about
favor? Has
how about behavior?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So we dropped the U, and part of the reason is it's thanks to Noah Webster, who founded Webster's Dictionary, because he wanted to. Now he had relatives in the Revolution, and he was a bit bitter towards the British, so he wanted to set up, in this new country and with the language, and he thought he would simplify things and drop, like the U from words, and and then I can understand why he did it, but it kind of frustrates the British. They don't understand how that happened or why Americans drop it, and so I tell him, and it's just like too, if you ever notice that when we sing the Star Spangled Banner, we only sing the first refrain, what is it called in music, where it's the first section. We don't sing the
second verse.
We don't sing the second and third, and the reason we don't normally sing the second and third stanzas of the Star Spangled Banner is because they're anti-British. And since they're our friends now, that would be awkward. So that's why we don't.
Well, getting back to London, because I want to kind of close out the show here, traveling down that highway. Besides seeing Kensington Palace, what was one of the highlights of your trip?
Wow. Well, DNA-wise, we got one of my friends over there arranged for us to tour Cambridge, and we had a lecture on DNA by a geneticist at the Wellcome Trust Sanger Institute. And we got to have lunch in Cambridge at the Eagle Pub, which is where Watson and Crick, came up with the formula for DNA, or discovered it, I guess is how you'd say it.
At a pub?
Yeah, at a pub. A pub is a mainstay of life. And then, but also visiting Stonehenge. My friend Daryl Oakley Teed arranged for this great trip on Stonehenge, and then she didn't get to go because her purse was nicked, as they say. Stolen. And so, but we went on this trip to Stonehenge and to a little preserved English village called Laycock, and then to Avery. And at Avery, they have standing stones like Stonehenge, because at Stonehenge, you can't touch the stones. They have it roped off. The only people that can touch them are pagans. We saw some pagans on the way out. So as we were leaving, they were coming in, so maybe they got to go in and touch the stones, but we didn't follow up on that. And then, but everywhere else, England and Scotland are full of these standing stone circles, just like not just like Stonehenge, but very similar to Stonehenge. The one in Avery is so large that it has a pub in the middle of it. And I don't think that when they built the pub, because the pub's really old, it's like from, I think, the 1600s. I don't think when they built the pub, they planned that, oh yeah, we're going to put a pub because it'll be a good tourist attraction in the middle of the standing stones. It's just sort of ended up that way because the circle's so large. I mean, you can't even see it all in one spot. You just see parts of it, but you're able to go up and touch those. And lots of people do, and they have people that have ceremonies out there. And the guide was telling us some crazy stories about people in the buff hiding behind stones. England's fun, people. You want to go?
Well, to close out the show, give us some travel tips. How is the best way to book a flight to travel overseas, and number one thing to be safe, maybe?
Well, I'm thrifty by nature, so I would choose a flight based on price, but also I have a preference for nonstop flights because then you don't have to worry about losing your luggage or having it be transferred between different airlines and whatnot. So for our area, I would say choose Virgin Airlines or Virgin Atlantic is what it is, or British Airways, because both of them have nonstop flights into Heathrow. You could leave in the afternoon, sleep overnight, and then you wake up, have breakfast on the plane, and then you're in London. So you hardly even have any jet lag if you're able to sleep. It's great.
Wonderful.
And then safety tips. Quite a few of the Americans that I travel with when we go in this group to London wear like undergarment wallets and things like that. I think it's better and myself and another gal have travel purses, and we wear them diagonal over us because another one of our group, the first year that we went, her wallet was stolen near, I think, the London Eye. It's either Westminster or the London Eye, one of those two. So, I mean, there are, especially in foreign countries, well, I guess it's in every country, there's pickpockets.
Everywhere.
So, yeah, so you just got to do what you can to be safe. But we have a list if someone wants to contact me. So I guess they can get a hold of you through your show, but we have a list I could share too of travel tips to London that we share with our American friends.
Go ahead and give your contact info.
Okay. Well, the travel list it's easy to find because it's on the internet. It's a public page. It's on if you Google ISOGG, that's ISOG, wiki, and then let's see, who do you think you are? So it'd be WDYTUA. So that's how you can find it, or easier, I guess, too, if that doesn't work, you can email me at isog@msn.com.